Brother, we back at it. Made it through another week, man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good. So today we talk. I want to tell you first. The other day I was in the store and this older guy came up to me and he was talking to me about all the craziness that's going on in the world. And then he was talking about how like these fascist regimes, such as the regime in Venezuela and also in Iran, had to go. And I say, have you heard of Boko Haram? And he's not even heard of Boko Haram. And have you heard of Boko Haram?
I got to be honest with you. When you first told me about it, I thought you were talking about Burkina Faso. That's just north of Ghana. So when I pulled it up, I was like, "Oh, you're talking about the other place." So I
Yes.
honestly, I was thrown a little bit and that was just because I thought it was someone else. I mean, the other place.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, in Boko Haram, this reported over 40,000 people have been killed.
Yes.
Lot of young women, a lot of children have been killed by this really far out, far extremist Islamic group. And but it's getting no press in the media. I mean, and they're getting very minimal aid. I think the UN gave them like $500 million over the course of maybe 15 years, which is a
Yeah.
very low number compared to like the war that's going on in Iran now, that's costing like $1 billion or $2 billion a day for the United States alone.
Wow.
Yeah, why do you think that this tragedy that's going on in Nigeria, this genocide that's going on in Nigeria, is getting so little press in the world?
Well, again, I personally, you look at who controls your mainstream media. You obviously are looking a little bit broader than most people to even know about this. So I normally say that it doesn't get the news or the notoriety in part because those who make the news haven't made it a priority. And historically, what goes on in Africa, you got what's going on in Congo and different places, all these atrocities that you don't hear anything about it until they want to go down there and liberate the resources of those communities. So for the most part, I think that my experience living in Kumasi, Ghana, Africa, is that Africa is not important unless they make it important. But for those of us who are in tune, it's just a travesty.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like Nigeria doesn't have the oils that Venezuela has, or there's not the gateway to all the oil like Iran is. So maybe that's the reason why it's not getting the notoriety, and it's the reason why the United States is so lackadaisical when it comes to helping these people, because of the fact that there's no interest for the United States of America, and especially Trump and his regime.
Well, and those are going to be the things. Capitalism goes money bag chasers or the bag chaser. That's the capitalist philosophy. So if there's nothing to be gained from it, then basic accounting is every expense should be matched to revenue. So if they don't perceive any kind of value or benefit, then helping the people, it's like, well, hey, you think about in our own country with all the issues that we have internally with violence against our own people. And if you can't help at home, for us to expect that we're going to help internationally with this super focus of altruism, I was like, I haven't seen it. I'm old enough now to say that, I'm living enough life. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, and so, but you know, what it's kind of like what's the similar thing that happened in like the whole like Serbia thing and the Serbia Belgrade and all that
Yes.
stuff. I mean, Clinton did get involved eventually, but atrocities were going on for years before anybody
Hmm.
even stepped in. Anybody stepped in, and there was ethnic cleansing of the Muslims that was in that area. So it was like a lot of times Muslims get a bad rap, but they were the ones that were being cleansed at that time. And it seems
Yeah.
like the United States of America and a lot of these first world countries, they really do not get involved unless it's in this country is in a strategic location for them to like make a move on a bigger superpower such as Russia or China, or there's a lot of natural resources at play, and usually it's a combination of the two. That's
Exactly.
that's the main reason why we went for Venezuela, because Venezuela was a major supplier to Cuba, which Cuba is really connected to Russia and China. So we kind of not only got the resources of Venezuela, but we also kind of iced out Cuba,
Yeah.
which is a main clog in the Russian China machine, and the same with Iran, because Iran is a mortal enemy of Israel, and everybody know United States and Israel, or the Zion nation. Zionism is go hand in hand, and it's
Right.
also the gateway to Saudi Arabia. So so not only was it a strategic move, but it's also a lot of resources that were involved.
Yeah, absolutely. You figure you just broke it down. Even though have people to say Venezuelan oil is dirty, it's not as clean. It's going to take a lot more resources to refine it. Which right now, so I'm hearing it's a good investment to look at those tertiary businesses that refine oil.
Oh yes,
But historically, the United States has been, in my perspective, and others may feel the same way. It has been the military arm for the global banks. So bottom line, the global banks, you look at who the global banks are, who runs those banks, those central banks, and the US has been the military. So all these targets, Libya, now Venezuela, they did not have, central banks. They had resources, so they were prime targets because once again, if you have resources and you have the capacity to be self-sustainable, then you don't have to deal with the system. You don't have to deal with them. So it's like, to me, I remember when I was younger and I was one of the first times I was voting different than Democrat. I did vote Democrat, but I was supporting Ross Perot for president
yeah,
because he was against NAFTA. At the time, no, I wasn't working at Ford Motor Company yet, but at the time I knew that you can't take those jobs out of your country. You don't want to stop your domestic production or manufacturing. You want to make sure that you have self-sustainability. But when we began to create this interdependence under the auspice of things are going to be cheaper and we're going to make everybody's lives better, all these taglines, it was just propaganda. So now you see a pattern of it's not about the people, it's about the resources. Now, some
yep.
will say that, hey, the few have to suffer for the many, so we go get these resources for so many other people can have great lives. But then we see the disparity in wealth. So it's like, well, no, that can't be it because it doesn't like to just trickle down. Now, sure enough, in America, I like to think that we do have had a great life here, even with all the problems that we have here. But that's compared to what we hear about all these other places. But then you hear other people in other places, and we start to travel, and it's like, well, are these places? What are these places like? What do the everyday people say about where they live at? Because we go fight wars under the banner of liberation because we do believe in helping folks as we should, as a professed Christian nation, not as much anymore. But is that really what we're doing? Are we just using this rhetoric and using all these emotions to get us into these situations? It's like, is this the best way to solve these problems? This is why I think certain things are not shown on the news. This is why what's going on over there. You said it was 42,000 people or 42 million.
I mean, it's kind of, like they say, it's hard to estimate how many people got
Okay.
killed, but there's over 100,000 in casualties, and so dismemberment of arms and stuff like that. So, but 40,000 people, over 34,000 people have been confirmed dead since
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
2009. Yeah, so
Yeah.
and
That's what I'm
then
saying here. So
in over a hundred
you said
thousand,
over.
over 100,000, have been dismembered or whatnot. They're a casualty of this war that's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. So now when I got into it and I was looking, again, what I was seeing, because of your terrorist groups are over there, they were Muslim extremists. I think they were the Sunni Islam. But the deaths and the dismemberments and everything, I would want to hear more stories, not the graphics of it, but like what's going on. Because what I was reading was that one of their things we always hear is that they have some strict rules. Like you don't play, if they say you don't do it, you don't do it. So they get us emotionally invested from the standpoint of, oh my God, you can't do this and you can't do that. Should you be doing those things just because you can? Should you be doing it? Because when I lived in Africa, Kumasi, Ghana, I remember one of the stories was if you steal, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get your hand cut off. So people don't
Yeah,
steal as much. But wouldn't that technically be dismemberment? I think
that
that goes under. Mhm.
that is technically dismemberment. Yes.
I think it's like this. So My first, so I'm looking like not once again to make excuses, but we're smart. I hope that we're smart enough to know that get as much of the story as you can so that whatever solutions we agree on, because we see it's a problem, you shouldn't just be dismembering people, you shouldn't just be killing people. We all agree you shouldn't do that. But why isn't it happening? What's going on? Because truthfully, if stealing result in getting your hands cut off in America, it'd be a whole bunch of people already, doing this because people are not perceiving consequences. I think it's in New York. They have an issue now that if you steal something, they don't even deal with you. So they got people just going in the stores taking stuff because they know there's no consequences.
Well, that's
I
how.
knew when I was young.
Well, I said that's how it was in California. That like it's like they don't even arrest you if it's under $1,000.
Yeah. So now, railing that back to our topic. So when they're talking about all these people are being dismembered, my question is, let's get some more information because a little piece of me is it would want to ask the question: this extremist Muslim community group, terrorist group that they've labeled, if they're coming in, they're doing all this stuff, it sounds like they're pushing for a culture that they believe in. Now, if they're pushing for a culture, they're probably pushing against another culture. Now, my first thought is they're probably pushing against a Western culture. They're pushing against us because uh, those areas, whatever they can't control and whatever they can't take, they normally just throw it away and kind of label it and say it's bad. So whatever's going on over in Nigeria, I think that there's a battle going on that we know that exists, but they're not telling us why does it exist. Are they fighting the Western way of the world? And if they are, let's talk about it because when it changed the conversation, if we found out that those dismemberments were tied specifically to criminal activity, that
Well,
might change it a little bit differently.
well, I think that is the motif with these the extreme Islamic movement versus the Western world. They believe that the Western world are sinners, and they're here to clean the world up, clean the world of sinners. And the
Because
in the Western world is it promotes sinning and consumerism and all that and excess consumerism.
you think about it, their version of the story could be we have to go over to America and liberate those people because they're killing their unborn children.
With abortion.
We'd be
Yes.
like, what do you mean abortion? No, abortion's okay. We've already agreed in America, it's a woman's choice. But when you hear it from their story, it sounds different. What my thing is that as the everyday people, me and you, and most of the people that are going to see this, we just want to go to work, make our little money, be able to take care of our bills, enjoy life for what it has to offer. And if we save a couple extra shekels, then we could take a couple extra trips and have a good life when we get to the end. I don't think that is fundamentally what anybody around the world at our level, that's something that we all want. We just want to be able to do what we do and be left alone, but we elect and we allow people to have a status in our culture and society that creates a power shift. So when we look at these travesties going around in other countries, and be as our African Americans, Black folks, I don't know what we're calling ourselves this year, but I always say as a person who lived in Kumasi, Ghana, Africa, if we care about those places, we also have to have some good conversations about why it exists and what's happening because it's not new. You know, when they talk about all
It's
the
not new.
Jews, unfortunately, that died in World War II, they forget about the guy down in the Congo and that I forgot his name now, but all the hundreds of millions of people he killed down there. So we put one problem, put one story up here, leave another one over there, but keep getting everybody riding under the banner of we want to help people. I said, you know what? If you really want to help people, then you probably want to get the people involved in the conversation, but we really don't get the people involved in the conversation. I think about it from a political standpoint. I divert here a little bit, Rich, but humor me.
No, no, no. Let's go. Let's
Like
go.
we'll have elected officials that have like they do quarterly town halls, they do quarterly meetings, so that they can talk to the people who voted them in and share what's going on. Some of them begrudgingly do it, some of it turn it into a grandstand, some of them are poorly attended. You have instances where it's properly attended, good information, and then it also you see a change in that community. But on average, the average person trust those who we elect to go out here and be our voice because we all want to see people have a good life because we want it too. But they say that to get what they want. And then when you see things happening around the world, you say, well, wait a minute, hold on. This isn't consistent. This doesn't make sense. We it's a joke now. We're going to help the people in whatever country it is and get the oil and get those resources. Dave Chappelle did a little
That's
skit
what
on it
I'm about to say.
because
The Black Bush. Do you see the Black
the
Bush
black bush.
episode?
Hey, go get that oil.
Oh, so it say oil. Who said oil? Anybody here cooking?
Let's go ahead and
I mean, hold
so
up. I hate to change subjects, but Dave Chappelle, please, Dave Chappelle, do the Black Trump. You got to do the Black Trump, dude. That will be
oh,
freaking classic, dude. Oh
is that
my
a thing?
God. We need to, you need to do Black Trump.
Oh, by the way,
Oh,
that'll be it. That should be a thing.
maybe we should do the Black Trump skit.
Hey,
Oh.
hey, hey, hold on. Get that pen and paper out, man.
Get
I'm
that
about to
pen and
think about
paper.
that too.
Get
Get
that
that
pen
pen
and
and
paper. You
paper
be
out.
Black Trump.
You're
Too
black.
funny.
That would be
Black, the
hilarious.
Black Trump.
Because he has so much material to pull from.
Yeah,
It's
the
not,
black,
he's like the
the
tree that just keeps on giving gifts.
trees keep on giving gifts. A genius. But going back to your point, yes, the resources are not there in Nigeria, no question.
Yeah.
And so,
You
and
know,
so, yeah. But I think you touch an even deeper point, and I think that point is that oftentimes we only hear things from our side, from our narrative. Is like, oh, um, we got to try to free these people because they're barbarians, and every if it's not democratic, it's not the Western world. Then it's wrong. You know, if it's not democracy, it's wrong. Democracy the Western way, it's wrong. So and we push that propaganda so hard that the whole world believes it. Well, not the whole world, but most of the world believe it. But there's some people that want to keep their original way of living, and that's the conflict right there.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's understandable because who likes
Yeah.
change?
Yeah.
So I do understand why it's easy for somebody to be conservative and let things stay as they are because it's probably benefiting them or it's at least maintaining their safety space. But then also understand why people would want to change things. The issue is that we have people who have a comfortable life wanting to change something that's not really a problem and taking energy away from things that are really a problem. Because truthfully, you broke down how much money is being spent in Iran. It's like, wait a minute, people forget that at one point in time, Iran was supporting African Americans. So you had if Libya tried to give Farrakhan money to bring back in the state. So we have people that the country may be targeting as an enemy that's not necessarily focused on the things that we might have more interest in. But also, Richard, if you haven't noticed, the last person I remember doing it was Tavis Smiley when he would do the annual or whatever, the Black Agenda.
Yep.
We do not talk about that. Now, we're multiracial and a lot of us are melded into different things. So I understand that we're all a little bit more broader in our interests and thoughts. But at the end of the day, when you get put over by that police officer, when you go for that job, when you're sitting in that space, when you go into that room, I still hear people saying that they still feel as though you're black. That's what you are. Now I've been blessed enough that either I'm ignorant, I ignore it, or I'm like, whatever. Ignorant people say ignorant things. Why am I giving you any energy? But I still hear the stories and I know it exists. So we still should have an agenda and have concerns that even just having this topic, you and I, hopefully somebody will go back and they'll say, well, let me look into that. Or they'll be more attuned to it to say, why are we always chasing these things? One thing I remember, when they were talking about pray for France, when they had that unfortunate incident that happened there with the murder. Then they had a gay club in Miami got shot up, and people like had rainbow flags. All that stuff is cool, but during that same time, some of the things that was going on in Africa and I will post this country, post that, and nobody, no likes, no this, that, and another. And then I'll post something kind of funny and crazy to make sure I'm still on Facebook and you can see me, and I get a whole
Yeah.
bunch of likes on it. But that's when I start to find out, and I heard a speaker say it. People have to be told to they have to be told what to be mad about on those levels.
Yep.
In their own life, they know what to be mad about. Now, what's wrong with somebody telling you what to be mad about if you don't have your own? information and your own opinion about it, that's a researched opinion about it, you're going to use your emotions that you normally use in your situations and apply it to that. And it's like, it's not the same.
Well, that's
I
that's
used
it.
to tell,
Yep. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, I used to tell a young lady I was dating back in the day, and I say, you get mad about everything at the same level. I was like, manage your nervous system. You can't do that.
Well, that's the thing. Well, that's the thing. The people, especially the media, and especially the Western media, they really have it down to a science where they're able to like play on your emotions to get you fired up as if this was so meaningful to you, as if someone kidnapped your own baby or something like that. So they know how they have it dialed in. But the tricky thing about it is people are get all riled up for like 1 or 2 weeks, and after that they forget about it. Because like
And they got a word for that. It says it's called a news cycle.
it's a
That's
news
the bad part.
cycle.
They got a word. You mean you got a word for how it's going to work? That should tell you
Yeah.
right there you're being manipulated.
Well, that's good evidence that we are being manipulated. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't get anything, and that's where I found interest in the social sciences and studying things about human nature at a layman's level, high level. But you can easily see how you're being salespeople. I deal with salespeople and vendors pretty frequently throughout my day, and normally say, man, how much does it cost? Cause like, look, don't tell me any of that other stuff. If I ask you a question and you don't get to the answer quick enough, I'm going to end this conversation. And I tell them up front because I've been a salesperson in different iterations of my career enough to know when they say this, then they say this, then they do this, then they do that, so I can walk you through the conversation. You know,
Yep.
so that kind of awareness, and you apply it to the global things or what's going on in our environment, man, all of us should just sit back and say, wait a minute, shut that mess down and let's get our own talking points together. And I'll tell you what I'm mad about. I'll let you know. You don't tell me what I'm mad at. I'll tell you mad about, because then we at least can control our emotional energy so we can focus it on things that's going to have a perceived benefit that we agree on.
Exactly. So like things that we think we should talk about is more like our economy, like the job
Mhm.
situation for a lot of people, healthcare for a lot of people. But I think all of that's been like blindsided by Epstein, Iran, and other things. I mean, Iran is of important significance because it
It
affects our
is.
oil. Yeah, for sure.
It
I
is.
mean, and we may be on the precipice of World War III. You never know. So
Well, if you read the Bible, we are.
yeah,
Not
well,
if you
this is
read the
what
Bible, but if you follow the Bible, they say we are.
we're talking
But
about. We're like during the times of Revelations.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So you
yeah,
look at the different things. The biggest one
yeah,
that's why I like our infinite think conversations. We
yeah,
can stay in the same vein, but it gives us a little space to talk about tangent topics. But
yeah.
one of the things about it is I always remember in Revelation it just said, in the last days you would not be able to buy, sell, or trade. And the question was, well, how can you stop people from buying, selling, or trading? You can do that if you control the economy, you separate them from means of production, and you have a digital currency and you can control it. Those are the elements that I say, you gotta watch that. I was not pro none of that Dogecoin, none of it. Do I have a couple? Yeah, I got a couple of 'em. I played
Yeah,
the game a little
well,
bit, but yeah, I played the game. But
yeah,
as a belief system, if they say, hey, is this wrong? Yeah, it is wrong. I mean, is this not good? I would say I think it's not. I think that when you got off the gold standard, that automatically had you on a bad road. When you got away from bartering, excuse me, that automatically puts you on a bad road.
well, yeah, because they can determine what the price is. At least gold, at least currency is backed by gold, or what? Then it was oil for a while, so at least it's a tangible asset. But the price of Bitcoin can be easily manipulated by the big banks and the big institutions all the time, and they are being manipulated by the big institutions and the big players. So yeah, that is a good point. I mean, I think all of it is pointing toward like a one world government that they want us to go to, and I think there is a couple countries that kind of stand in the way of it really being a one world government, and that's probably like China. Russia can be on the fence either way. India's kind of on the fence, and Iran is in North Korea. So, and China is the big player. And the way I look at it, I mean, if I was a chess player, it seems like Donald Trump in particular is trying to make all the chess moves to checkmate China. So, but
Or here's another way to look at it.
yeah,
Every single organized country, every
yes,
single country flags a flag. Every single one of those leaders, I ain't not talking about just the guy that got elected last week or, the town pot. They're all on the same team. And the only thing that's stopping them is that the regular people wouldn't have it. The regular
yeah,
people have it. Because here's the thing, they do as much as we allow them to do. And
exactly.
China, Russia, and everybody, in the back. Now here's conspiracy cat. And I need to get a little tin hat I'm gonna start wearing when I say conspiracy stuff. But I wouldn't even be shocked if we find out one day in our lifetime that Russia, America, China, and all anybody you want to pick. Once again, I said at that level, that flies a flag, the elect those power players, the elected officials, the money people, all that. I wouldn't be shocked if we find out in our lifetime that yes, they were all connected. They're
Of
all in one big
course,
club and we're not in it. And the trick has been manufactured, uh, um, not manufactured, but whether basically they fake fighting each other.
it's like
It's kind of like
wrestling,
NFL.
or
It might be.
WWE.
They're doing WWE, but they're like the NFL players. Well, no, we're the
Yeah,
Dallas Cowboys. Well, no, we're the Detroit Lions. But we know good and well both owners are on the
yeah.
same team. We know there's nobody thinking that the guys that own NFL teams they want to see the NFL stop. The guys
Wait,
that
wait.
own the people that
Well, definitely the Democrats and Republicans are on the same team. They just pretend like they're on different teams to polarize our country.
That's your WWE right there. That's your WWE right there to
Yeah.
see them go back and forth. And this is why I think it's important, Richard, that as we become the elders in the communities, that our voices do not go silent because the younger voices, I hear young people talk and I feel like my dad. I was like, you haven't lived enough life to say what you're saying with any kind of credibility. No disrespect to the knowledge and information, but you're said speaking with such a passion and fervor, like Greta Garbo talking about climate control. You ever seen when they mock her?
Yeah.
How dare you? And you and it's like, girl, wait a minute. You kind of I like it. Hey, go do your thing. I said, but for who you are, how can you really feel that? It's
Yeah.
like somebody coming to
Yeah.
you right now, Richard, and saying, I'm pinching somebody in China. Doesn't that just make you mad? Well, you shouldn't pinch people, but I can't say I'm mad. you know so
Well,
how
I
we
mean,
have this passion is manipulated and used against us.
so you're saying it's kind of almost like acting.
Yeah. Mhm.
It's like method
It's a
acting.
100%.
Yeah.
It's a
So yeah.
hundred percent acting. It's all
Yeah.
acting. And even when we think about it, when not so much now because I'm in a different space, but when I went to work, I acted like a president. Act like a president. When I was at home with my friends, I acted like Kenya with his friends. So if I'm doing it in my life, what
Yeah.
makes me think that these people who got cameras in front of them, who are always in the spotlight, what makes me think that they don't have the same challenges or have the same coping mechanisms that I have because our days require different things of us. Now here's the twist on it. I'm not I don't have the money incentive. I don't have the power incentive. I don't have that part of it. So that's the piece of it that says why we have to look at those folks that sit in those seats. Delta Airlines canceled red carpet treatment for Congress people at the airports. I was like, that's cool. And I was like, the people who lead should live a life like the people that they lead. The problem is that they told you that they were smarter than you. They told you that they went to Harvard. They told you that their family was the blah, blah, blah. And we got all this money. So that means we know more than you. When in
Yeah.
fact, we're finding out now, if you think about it, I'm going to say this in a very crass way. Please, internet, you're probably going to kill me, but imagine if you could hang out with all your friends when you were younger, y'all were doing all the crazy stuff that you did, but you could still make money and you had time and leisure. What would have been your incentive to change, mature, and grow up if you could have kept doing that stuff? So my point is that most of the leaders that we look at, how do we always see them? Oh, well, they were at this networking event, a party. Well, they were at this thing conference, a party. Whatever that thing, a party. It's always just some form of a party, and it's always
Exactly.
drinks, and then they go act like they talking about business, and then they go back to the party. So it's not amazing that you're able to do what you do because you're mastering the illusion. It's
That's
just
it.
us common folks. It's us common folks that keep thinking that they're going to stand up for our Boko Haram. They're going to stand up, for our people in the streets every day. Just name somebody. The
Yeah.
healthcare issues. They're going to stand up and say, "Hey, maybe we really need to, since we can't fix the healthcare system, and we don't want to tax the wealthy, let's put a heavy tax on things that kill our people, soda pops, tobacco. Put a heavy tax on that stuff. And for people who really want to do that stuff, guess what? Your addiction, you'll figure it out and you'll be complaining. But at a certain
Yeah.
point, you can't pay for it. You'll cut it off. And then on the back end of it, you might have improved health. You might have better health now. So
Yeah.
that's an extreme thing, and I know that's not how we want to do it. We believe in giving people choice, but we have to understand, as bad as these Muslim terrorists and these different folks are, they're fighting for something that we're complaining about. We're talking about our Gen Z. They don't want to work. I bet you they knew they was gonna get 30 lashes. They'd get up and go to work. I know I would. Pledging motivated the heck out of me. I don't know about you, but I like, yeah. What do I need to do? Oh, I'm gone. So
Yeah.
there's something about consequence that does motivate you, but we don't want to be in a place of abuse. And I think that's what we ultimately want to
Yeah.
stand against.
Yep.
We don't want anybody abused, but we also understand that this world is not a free ticket. Somebody has to pay. And
Yep.
and most of us feel as though if I gotta pay, you gotta pay. That's how
But
most of us feel. Not that,
that's the reality of it is these people are dying within. It's like even a slow death. And that's why these young Gen Zers are really just super anxious and super depressed and having existential crises because they have no sense of consequence, no sense of duty, So and I think that's what
no purpose.
and no purpose. And I think that's what for the people that are like these extreme Muslims, even though it is extreme, they do come with a sense of purpose. They do come with a sense of, and so it's easy for us to judge them because their actions are very bad. You shouldn't kill people. I don't
Yes.
think, no question.
No.
But maybe, you look at this guy like David Goggins, who's like this guy. Are you familiar with David Goggins? And
Absolutely.
and so like he's super extreme, but maybe there is something to be taken from that extremism that we can be used in everyday life, that sometimes you got to go out there and go get it. You got to go out there and not have this grandiose purpose, but find purpose in everything that you do all the time. So,
Yeah. We're in a bad place. And I say we're in a bad place because we don't understand this one thing. If you don't know what your purpose is, do you know how much satisfaction you can find in serving,
exactly.
helping?
That is our
Doing
purpose.
something for other people. That is your purpose. But the premise there is that when you serve,
That is
it begins to show you how you serve, and then you start finding out what you're good at serving at. Then you find out, oh, my purpose is serving
exactly.
this way, or my purpose is serving that way. I
Yeah,
resolve to
it
say
is.
that my purpose is to love people unconditionally. Love people
Yep.
unconditionally. Figure that out, and now, going to therapy and different things. You say, okay, well, is it because I felt as I wasn't loved? I'm like, nah, that ain't it, man. I got the most loving mom, dad, aunts, uncles, cuz I got love there. But
Yeah.
you have love. You have an abundance of love
Yeah.
because you came from it. So your purpose is to love. And how do you love? Serve. Whatever you can do and you can say yes and it makes sense and it doesn't take away from you, do it. Say no when you need to say no. I don't say yes to everything, but because I know that my purpose is to love, then do those things. But most people, like say young people that I speak with, and I hear them talking about depression, anxiety, ADHD. I don't hear that one as much as when I was working with younger kids. But you hear this, that's like you're 19 years old, okay, but you still live at home, okay. What are you nervous about? What are you depressed about? I mean, like, what's going on in your life at 19? I know at 19, it was like, yeah, you had to, school, college. Are you doing well in college? You got your grades pledged, you played, girls, you had that kind of stuff. But the things that they talk about, it's like, oh, you're taking on more than what you're responsible for. You're caring more about things that you shouldn't be caring about. And a part of that comes because they have access to so much information, stimulation, and it's turning this into their whole nervous system getting
Yep.
rewired, man. It's crazy. Not crazy, that's not the
That's
word, but
it.
it's
Yeah.
unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate. Well, okay, yeah, we'll revisit this topic some more, and just because we know it always spins in that same direction about just like like how we kind of are just kind of delusional about what's really going on in life, you know, and we are kind of being manipulated by the powers that be. And
Absolutely
um,
are.
and then and then like and that's the reason. That's probably a big reason why Boko Haram is not getting that much press because it doesn't have any benefits for those powers that be. So,
But
but
let today be a
man, it's
message to,
always
if you don't mind me saying this real
go
quick,
ahead.
let today be a message to those like myself that did not know as much as I should have known about Boko Haram. I've gone back and I've done my reading and studied it and looked at what's going on over there. Please go take a minute, go look at it for yourself, educate yourself on it, because you'll realize that Iran is not the only place where bad, bad, bad things are happening. It's happening so far around the world that we should all demand our leaders to say, wait a minute. It is not this much evil in the world that y'all can't defeat it unless somebody doesn't care or they're profiting from the evil.
Yep, for sure. It's a good point. Okay, Kenyon, thank you. I'll see you next week. Okay,
Next time, my brother.
and see everyone else. See everyone else
See you guys
later.
next week,
Peace.
Wednesdays.